Greetings, everybody. It's Lily again. So, nearly everybody, at some point, have been guilty of some indiscretion or other. But, well, if you've been watching my YouTube very recently, you know that I'm a fan of Bizarre News, a newsletter on Gopher Central. And I thought that I had read every doozy headline that this delightful weird newsletter had to share. Until recently. And I warn you, this particular sharing might have portions of it that are a little bit difficult for to understand because I'm laughing too hard. Okay, you've been warned. It's not every day. That one reads, an article headline mentioning the words mystery pooper. And I have to say, that headline, in and of itself, or rather, even the full headline that was mentioned in Bizarre News' newsletter today, in and of itself, is so effing hilarious. It in and of itself should make a meal. That headline, in and of itself, was mystery pooper identified. I about dropped onto the fucking floor laughing when I read that headline, and I called to my hubby Jesse, say, Jesse, I just read the most horrible news article ever. And I literally couldn't even read it out loud to him because I was laughing so hysterically. I'm telling you. Seriously. And not so seriously. I mean, I'm so glad I didn't read that headline right after my brain surgery in 2002. Because that year, I had a laugh attack that lasted for 2 weeks. Early in the months after that brain surgery. And I kid you not, I'm thinking if I had read this article headline then, it probably would have lasted for a whole month and a half, or a month and a half even. What the? But here it is. This article. When I read that headline, I had to diggity wig. And I mean had to diggity wig more information about this mystery pooper. Yes, you heard that right. I'm serious. And I traced it. I binged it. And I typed in the words. I typed in the words mystery pooper and clicked news. And I actually found an article. An article that traced this mystery pooper to a town in New Jersey. And apparently, well, you know, I couldn't help deciding, after verifying that this was verifiable news, and also that this this was this particular article was a very serious matter. We all have met at least one person in our lives who had some type of authority or other, and was not the President of the United States at the time, who was full of shit. However, very few of us, I suspect, have had the life event of discovering that our high school's track field was covered with feces on a daily basis that was not traceable to canine, feline, or avian sources. And that is just what happened to the unfortunate people of Holmdel High School in a New Jersey town. And apparently on their track field, for a stretch of several days, they found hominid fecal matter. And they could not for the lives of them figure out who was doing it for quite some time and how it got there. And it was traced. Eventually, to a nearby high school's superintendent, was now facing charges. And that superintendent was found to have been running laps at like 5:50 a.m. And I mean, I'm sure by now that the people of that township are running at the mouth with anger and perhaps perhaps some nervous giggles at this point. I mean, if I had found that on my high school track field, I probably would have had at least a 5-minute giggle fit before, in the years before the tumor that I grew up with was removed from my emotional brain. Now, mind you, in those days it would seriously not have lasted, well, it certainly wouldn't have lasted 2 weeks, I assure you. Like it did. Like the one I had in the first few months after its removal did. But I would have managed, I think, at least a few minutes. But, oh my God. This dude, I mean, he was just running like crazy, I'm telling ya. And I mean, clearly, in many ways, this dude, well, when you gotta run, you gotta run. But do you really have to do it on your neighboring high school's track field? I don't know. I mean, yes, I realize these jokes stink. But at least we were not the people of that high school that wound up having to find that particular matter on their track field for a number of days. Because, I'm gonna share with you a joke that my dad shared with me. He grew up during World War II in Eastern Europe. And he heard some jokes. Some from his dad, some from, around, about that were Hungarian jokes of his day. criticizing the upper classes. So, like in one of them, a couple of aristocrats are walking along, and one of them bends down and puts something in his mouth, and then makes a very quick face, very quickly, and his buddy goes, "What's wrong, friend? What was it?" And the guy says, "I don't know, but I'm glad I didn't step in it." Here's hoping that, and this is sincerely meant, here's hoping, totally, that none of the students or teachers or anybody else at that high school had the misfortune of stepping in it. I mean, come on, it was bad enough. It was bad enough that the superintendent from that neighboring high school that did that raised such a stink to begin with. This is Lily Willie Laughlin-Rose. The story you heard me share about can be found in an article found on nj.com/Monmouth, and I read a summary of it originally in the Bizarre News newsletter on gophercentral.com, whose editor is Louis Guthridge. Good luck, everybody. And remember, if you find something on the ground that turns out not to be so very tasty, remember to be glad you didn't step in it. Bless you.